Is Rollie, and welcome to Chatting with Wisdom. I am super excited to be here this morning with Rachel. I do that every time. It's like, how do you pronounce your name? Then I hesitate. So with Rachel Strivelli. And so Rachel is actually going to be talking about being able to connect with our dreams and how to be able to use those nighttime dreams to be able to manifest and provide that personal and help us with that personal growth. So Rachel is a dream expert and a manifesting coach. Rachel has a background as a science teacher, organic gardener, and environmental educator, which leads to keen observation skills and awareness of natural patterns. She supports people like you to bring forth your own gifts and inherent nature to have sustainable, grounded success. She has a master's in soil science and loves playing in the dirt. I love that. She's been exploring her spiritual self since childhood, featured on Thrive Global, Tiny Buddha, Scary Mummy, Positively Positive, WNC Magazine, and My Designed Life. Rachel lives in Greenville. I don't know what the SC stands for. I should have asked.
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Us Canadians don't know what that one is.
Yes, that's
with
okay.
with her two kids, strawberry plants, and husband. So welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. And speaking of strawberry plants, it's probably too early where you are, but mine are blooming and I can see the first green strawberries starting to form. So I'm
Nice.
getting very excited about
It's
this time of
definitely
year.
way too early for us. We still have snow on our ground. Not very much. It's disappearing. Our lake is still completely frozen. It's not safe to be on the lake right now, but it's still frozen. So yeah, we are still a little ways away from being able to see buds on strawberry plants.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there.
We will get there. It's still for us. It's still early spring, so we're just getting into that part of things. We have a 6-year-old that comes around all the time, and she said, "But it's still winter. Why do you keep saying spring?" It's like, because it really is supposed to be spring. If we lived in a different part of the world, it would be spring right now. We'd have no snow.
Right. And where I live, my kids find snow to be a novelty. So, and even for me, I've lived most of my life in the southern US, although I lived in Canada for a few years, as I said before. And when I was there and it snowed, every time I felt like I was in a movie, because most of my snow experiences of lots of snow were in movies.
Yeah, not us. I always told my parents that I was born in the wrong part of the world because I'm definitely not a snow person. But here I am, and I'm actually living 3 hours south of where it was that I was born. So it's it's pretty cold up here. Actually, it's nice and warm right now. So
Okay.
So let's talk about our dreams and so how how our dreams can actually help us with manifesting and that personal growth. And one of the things that I know a lot of viewers will actually be asking about, and I know that that's something that you did put in the description of what it is that you will talk about, is how do we remember our dreams? So a lot of times people say, "Oh, well, I had lots of dreams, and I know that I was dreaming lots, but I don't know what it was that I was dreaming about." So I know that that's one of the tips that you're going to share with us, is how to remember our dreams. So let's get started in talking about dreams.
Yes, I'll dive right into that. And so here's the easy thing that'll help you remember your dreams, is even just listening to this interview and thinking about dreams, listening to the whole time we're talking, because it's similar to other areas of life. If you start paying attention to, you get a new blue type of car, all of a sudden you see that blue car everywhere you go. The brain loves to find patterns. And so if you start being mindful of a certain pattern, object, person, whatever it is, you're going to start noticing it more. And so every time that you pay attention to other people talking about dreams, or throughout the day, if you think, "Oh, I wonder what my dreams are going to be tonight," and before you go to bed, if you ask yourself, "Oh, I'd like to remember my dreams in the morning," getting this readiness to remember them and being open to thinking about dreams more times than just once every 3 weeks or something, is going to make the occurrence of dreams much more frequent. Because studies show we all dream, all humans dream, or at least just, they say 99%. So who knows, maybe there's the odd person out there who that doesn't happen. But measuring brain activity, it's happening in all of us. And yet 95 to 99% of our dreams, we don't even remember. They just slip away. And if there are people who feel that slipping away and they think, oh, but I want to remember it, it's okay that you are forgetting some of them. I just anticipate and tell myself, I must have not needed to know that information if I can't remember it. So I just let it go if I don't remember my dreams. But sometimes we have a feeling or a sense. You wake up and you think, oh, something good happened in my dreams. I can't tell you what it is, but I just woke up feeling this bubbly, jostling goodness inside. Sit with that feeling for a little bit longer. Let it return to it throughout the day and let yourself revisit that. Because if you keep on just paying attention to when you go to sleep and when you wake up, and as I said, throughout the day, thinking about your dreams, you're going to start remembering them. Now, some people tomorrow morning, they're going to wake up and they're going to think, I'm so glad I watched that interview because I had a dream and all these things happen.
Yep.
Other folks, it might take 3 days, 10 days of telling yourself, I want to remember my dreams. And if you already have a practice, let's say, of doing affirmations or mantras or things that you remind yourself throughout the day, maybe you make a Post-it note or put a reminder on your phone. I want to remember my dreams tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to remember my dreams. So set that intention that you will remember them, and your mind is going to start paying more attention to it because you're recognizing the importance of it.
Beautiful. And I love that. So I know that I'm not somebody who necessarily remembers my dreams, and not necessarily that there's like, I do, but I don't. And so like, it's just kind of like whatever it is. And so like I get so like my dreams end up being like my downloads. I always refer to them as my downloads. So I might not remember what was happening in my dream, but I wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, I've got an idea. I've got this brilliant idea of something that I'm going to offer and what it is that I want to be able to do. And so, for example, when I've established several retreats and I wake up in the morning and it's usually I wake up like early morning and it's like, and then I start typing all of the things, or I write them down of whatever it is that is coming to mind, how it is that I want to be able to do it, what's going to be happening, what the theme's going to be, like those kinds of things. And I get those from my dreams by setting that intention of like, what do I need to know? What is it that I want to be able to create? What do I want to be able to have things happening? And so, and I love waking up to that feeling of like, oh, I got this brilliant idea. And I know that it's coming from my dreams. I know that it's my subconscious that's coming in and providing me those details of what it is that I need to know. So I love that. I love that part. I know that my mom is very visual. So my mom will actually remember specific things and details in her dreams of whatever it is that's going on. And so, and she has vivid, like, so if she's dreaming of going on a trip, she has like very vivid images of what that trip looked like and what was going on and who was there and all that kind of stuff. So that's actually kind of cool from her perspective, but I don't get those specific things. I get that sense and that feeling of something exciting has happened. And I get that info.
Well, and I'm so glad you shared that, because we're all different and we all have different sensory abilities that are greater in some areas and maybe not as strong in other areas. And what you shared, there could be 20 people or 20%, who knows? I'm just picking a random number, who they don't remember the actual dream events, like you say, but they wake up and the downloads happened at night. And so having that time in the day. It's, if you can make it happen earlier in the day, that's great. But having a time in the day where you say, all right, I'm going to get down these downloads on paper so that I don't forget them, because sometimes these things can feel very ephemeral, and so they can fade away and we forget them. And life can be a little bit fast paced, and so some people just, they wake up and they start going, and maybe that's the way it is for you. I have kids who usually they don't wake up very leisurely, so I don't either, but I still try and find a time during the day, earlier in the day works better for me, where I can sit and reflect and have out my journal and put down my downloads. And I'm like your mom, I'm a very vivid dreamer, but some of my downloads have come with no dream. I just wake up with a knowing. And I believe that is a skill and a possibility for every human being. Mm-hmm. And if you look back in even like cultural norms of, oh, I'm going to sleep on it, people will say, yeah, because we know something is happening at night, all of this integration and synthesis. My son's name came to me in my sleep. I woke up, Wesley was on my lips as soon as I woke up. And my husband and I had been having such a hard time picking out a name for our child. And after several weeks of going back and forth and both of us looking at each other like, how could you ever suggest this name? Because both of us thought the names the other one said were just outlandish, you know, not that anyone has a bad name, but the names for either one of us didn't fit. So finally I said, all right, I give it up. I'm surrendering my part of this process. I'm going to ask my dreams. I woke up with the name Wesley. I told my husband, I love it, he said, and we went with it. And so some of this also about dreams and downloads is intention, and some of it is valuing the importance of the wisdom that we each have within us. Because in many parts of society, culture, we're not taught to value dreams. We're often not taught to value our own opinions, instincts, intuition. Yeah. And so some of this working with dreams is very similar to if you are developing your intuition or developing greater self-trust and self-awareness. It's the same qualities or practices of compassion and being receptive and being open to, what if the download I get is surprising? It's sometimes not what you thought the day before. It could feel like it's out of the blue, but if you're open enough to explore it and value it, I feel like it's any other relationship in life. If you keep on showing up for it and let's see where this goes, that relationship continues to evolve and strengthen.
And I love that. I love that part of it, because you actually tie it into intentions. And that's one of the things that I do with my clients a lot is, so we have weekly yoga nidra sessions that we do. And I record them. So like I've got lots of recording, but we have them where we actually jump on a Zoom call together and we do the yoga nidra together. And part of that is that it creates a community with everybody, and they're drop-in classes. So like you don't have to worry about when, like you don't have to sign up for all of them kind of thing. But we have our regulars that come like pretty much faithfully every single week. And one of the things that happens is that we set our intention when we do our yoga nidra, right? So, and it's that same thing. It gets you into that dreamlike state. And so again, the ones who have like very vivid imagery are able to describe like exactly what it is that they were doing and what they were smelling and how they were feeling and how they were sensing, regardless of the type of meditation that I'm doing, because I change them up throughout the week. But it's that connection that we have within ourselves of being able to like, what is it that we want to be able to have going forward, right? So it's and it's beautiful, and I love that practice that we do each week.
Yes. And I love how you made this connection too, because both of them are we're delving into and giving time to our internal experience landscape, our, the spiritual part of ourselves, and we're giving that space. And as you said, the intention setting. And then when my dreams and my meditations, sometimes I feel like I'm going on a journey, and this is great. I mean, I like traveling in my waking life, but traveling in meditation is always an experience.
And it really is. And like, I know that different women have actually described different things. Like some of them have actually described that they're literally floating on the clouds, or that they were like literally running in the bush with their family member, or whatever it is that's coming forward. And so it's really incredible to be able to see the things that are going on. And so again, coming into the dreams, like, again, my mom has very vivid things as well. So we had I had a great niece. I had a niece that her, so it would be my great nephew, died at a very early age. He was only 8 days old. And so, but there was some problems in utero and things like that. But one of the things that was really cool is that when she became pregnant the second time, is that my mom actually had this dream of this baby crying. And actually it was for the first one. So the first one was the baby was crying all the time. And then the baby was then okay. And then, but he didn't make it. But it was like that somebody was coming to get him in terms of that spiritual connection. But then when she was pregnant for the second one, that was one of the things, is that my mom would hear baby laughing.
Aww.
And this is before we even found out that she was pregnant, right? So we didn't know she was pregnant at that point. And so my mom would say, like, we're getting, there's a new baby coming. There's a new baby coming. And so it was like, and she would have this recurring dream of this new baby, and it would just be this baby laughing. And so, and then it turned out that it was my great niece that was actually being born. And it was that imagery of the things that were happening. And because she's definitely connected to herself within when she's dreaming or when she's going into meditation, which is amazing. Because I love hearing, because she actually describes the vividness of what it is that she sees, right? So it's pretty fascinating.
That is fascinating. It reminds me too, I had a little bit of a similar experience to your mother in that. So I have 2 children, and after the first, even though we had planned to have 2 originally, my husband felt that he was good with just 1. and so we had a few years of that dialogue between the 2 of us about what was going to happen, and whether we were going to have just 1 or 2 children. And I kept on having dreams of this second child. And I felt like spirit was tapping on my shoulder, being like, excuse me, there's supposed to be another child here. And I could not let it go. And I kept on telling him, no, I know, I sense this child wants to come in, wants to be in our family. And I want to have a larger family. And we went with it. And I will say, my son has definitely upset the apple cart in some ways, but I trust that it's all going to be for the best. And also, those dreams that I had before help me now to have that. I don't know if confidence is the right word, but trust, maybe, that I'm going through a hard time, but I still feel that it was the right decision. I feel that my soul is leading me on the path that I'm supposed to be on, that I haven't gone astray, and that this was the choice that I had to make. And it's tough, but when I need to, I can return to my dreams and say, okay, I'm in a tough situation. Give me something to work with here. What can you show me? What can you teach me? What can you give me? And again, as we talked before, I will then wake up. Sometimes all of a sudden I wake up with an idea. Oh, maybe my son's having issues because he's not getting enough protein. So then I start giving him more protein. So I don't always wake up with a dream idea. However, sometimes I'll wake up and my mom will have come to me in a dream, and she's on the other side now. So that's one of the other things that I have experienced in dreams, and I know others do too, of this. The dream space is a place where you can connect with people that in our waking life, logistically, it's not feasible to interact with them. So I will interact with celebrities, loved ones who've passed on, and I'll be in scenarios that are allowing me to grow, have connections, explore new things, because it's all happening in the dream state. And I feel it's a lot like our imagination in that so many things are possible there. And that expansion that happens while we're sleeping, then we can take that into our daily life and bring those qualities out.
Well, and it's really fascinating that you were saying that, is that because that's one of the things that is that connection, right? So like I said, like waking up with like all these brilliant ideas, but we actually have that self-conscious. And I know that for me, it's about a matter of control, right? So I've learned how to be able to kind of take a step back and not have everything so controlled during my conscious time. Still do. And there's still some very, neurotic things that I still need to have done in a certain way, in a certain pattern. But for the most part, I've let a lot of that go. And that's been like something that I've actually had to work on really like a lot. And life has thrown a lot of things at me that has forced me to do that. But that's one of the things, is that if I don't know what it is that I need to be doing in anything, is that I will actually set that intention before bed. Is like, help me. I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. What's my next step? How am I supposed to be moving forward? Am I on the right path? I seem to be hitting up against all these roadblocks. And then, like you said, you wake up in the morning with like these ideas that it's like, where did that come from? Like, why am I having this 3:00 in the morning nudge of whatever it is that this idea that turns out to be like this fabulous idea that I would have never thought about during my waking time.
Yes. Oh, I thank you so much for sharing. And that reminds me of another element that can help people to remember dreams, is having something near where you sleep. I have a stack of note cards and a pen and it's an electronic battery operated candle. I can turn on that candle in the middle of the night. It will not wake up my partner. And I can jot down something that I wake up at 3 a.m. and I think, this is amazing. Chances are, if I don't write it at 3 a.m, I'm not going to remember it next morning, because I will go back to sleep and who knows what will happen. But and not that people have to wake up at 3. That's just something that I choose to do because I'm very connected and engaged with my dreams. For whatever time you want to wake up, having something near your bed where you're ready to write it down. It can be a small notebook. I don't necessarily recommend your phone. I mean, if that's the option you want to do, great. But most people, if their phone is right there and they're picking up their phone, they have a tendency to, let me check this, let me check that, look at all the other things rather than going into your notes app or wherever where you could record your dream. However, if you feel like putting it on your phone is the best way for you to make it happen, do what works for you. Open up the app on the notes app or a voice recording app and put it in your phone if that's where you want to put it down. But whatever method you choose, having a way to record the events or the images or the download, the words, the ideas that came to you is helpful, because we're bombarded by so much information all day long that is very easy, unless it's a very stark, strong thing that comes through, to easily forget as we go about our daily life. And then we just miss that nugget of wisdom that we received.
And exactly, like, and so I use my phone for the same reason of like not disturbing my husband. So then I go into the notes section. But the other part of it is that if I'm typing it into my notes section, then I can actually then copy and paste it into a Google Doc later.
And nice.
Usually those downloads are usually because of something to do with work or something that I want to be able to share or something like that. So that's typically where I get them. And so, but if I wake up at whatever time, then that's what it is that I'm doing. And it's those, if I wake up and it's like, I get that, like, it's like this nagging feeling that I have to do something about whatever it is. So like I love the example that I have for the building that we're in right now. So I had been renting from somebody else, and they had made a change. And in their, because I provide different group services, and so they were making a change in the way that they were doing things. And I was like, okay, so now I have to find a new place. Not a big deal. But when she had given me the notice, we were still early enough into, like, we were just moving into the summer months. And so like the circles, it was like not a big deal. We can go to a beach area. We can go to, we've got hiking trail areas that we can go to. We have a place called Pete's Dam that I love going and doing meditation, because it's all full of rocks and like super grounding, and you can stand on the rocks and you can do amazing meditations there. So it's like not a big deal. It's the time of the year to be able to do that. Well, then of course, because we live in the north, as we're kind of progressing into July, it's like, okay, I still haven't been able to find anything. Like now we're into July. And so that means that August is coming and it's going to start to get cooler again by the end of August. And so we're not going to be able to do this. And then we're going to get into the rainy weather of fall. So like now what? And so then and again, it was one of those, okay, so then am I just not supposed to be doing this anymore? Like, am I just supposed to just stop? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And so then I went to bed and I had set the intention. It was a couple of days before that. And I had set the intention of like, okay, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. So like, if I'm not supposed to, then please let me know. Or if I'm supposed to, please give me a sign as to what it is that we need to be doing. And so then I went to bed. And so then I woke up at 3:00 in the morning with that nudge. And I woke up and it was like, you need to go check the real estate listing. And I'm like, I'm not buying a property. So like, why do I need to check the real estate listings? I'm going back to bed. And it was like, but it was that nudge. And it was like, it's not going to bed. Go and check the listing. I'm like, okay, I'll go check the listing, but I'll do it in the morning. And it was like more of the nudge, go check it right now. And I'm like, so then I trot downstairs, go grab my laptop, bring it back upstairs. And so, because I had tried it on my phone, but it was like too small of a image, so I couldn't really see. And so then I had checked the listing, and we found, and so then I found this building specifically that was listed, and it had been listed for a while. And it was like, okay, so then I sent a message to the real estate agent and said, like, can we come and take a look at it? And so, so then she got, so like she's getting this email at 3:30 in the morning. So then so when she got to work that morning, she sent me a message and she said like, well, I'm available today at noon. And I'm like, okay, well then let's go. And so then we went and took a look at it, and we came here and took a look at it, and it was just a huge peaceful feeling. So it was like, we weren't in a position, like I didn't want to be in a position of purchasing, because I didn't know whether or not I would have that scenario, like if that was even going to be feasible, because I had been renting for one class. So like maybe a couple of classes a week I was renting. But like for the most part, it was like faithfully once a week. So it's like, do I really want to invest? So then I put in an offer to lease the building, and it was like, but that came from that 3:00 nudge, right? So it was like, so then I sent a message and said, do you think that they would be willing to take this offer? And they're like, they said, sure, put it into a formal request. And then here I was. And that was that 3:00 in the morning nudge. That was that wake up in the morning with an idea, like a really stupid, crazy idea of like, I was looking for a location to be able to like just have one place where I could actually just go and be present with the ladies that were coming into my circle.
Wow. So thank you so much. That is so good to share. And what I love that I'm hoping other people listening will get to is this wonderful quality that when we listen to the nudges and follow them, even though we're like, oh, great, this seems, I didn't think I was going to be looking at buildings. I'm not ready to buy, but just following it to see where it ends. It makes me think of, if you're taking yourself for a walk in the woods and you see this little this path that looks intriguing, well, go down the path for a little bit, see where it leads, and who knows what exciting things might be awaiting for you that you never dreamed of. And it sounds like this place is more than you had dreamed of doing before.
Yeah, so and it's been great at this point with with all the changes with COVID. Who knows
Yes.
where we're still going? We've been open and closed so many times that, but
Mm-hmm.
I think we're open now.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah, so we'll be going through and seeing where things go. But and I'm on whatever journey that we need to take, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so that whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing, I will get those nudges, right? So waking up one morning, like when they made the announcement that we were finally open March 1st, and it looked like it was like full restrictions were being lifted except for like medical restrictions, and
Uh-huh.
so I was like, okay, so this is great. And so then go to bed and everybody's all excited about doing the things, and then 2 days into the new restrictions, I wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm set. And again, it's like first thing in the morning, send an email off to where I normally do retreats. It's normally once a year, and we do it in
Mm.
the fall. And I'm like, we're open. We can do these things. I'm sending a message because we hadn't been able to have a retreat, a women's retreat for 2 years.
Oh,
So I sent a
wow.
message and said, okay. And I looked at the calendar before I sent her the email and figured out what it is. And I did all this from my bed at like early morning. I don't know what time it was. And sent off a message and said, okay, any possibility that this is open and that this is a weekend that seems to work well for me, which is happens to be next weekend, and this works really well for me. And so like, is this a possibility? And I don't know what it's going to be like because it's like we are completely secluded, so I've never been in
Mm-hmm.
there in the spring, and it's still wet spring, like we have wet snowy spring.
Yes.
So it's like, I don't know what it's going to be like because I don't know how well that we're going to be able to walk through trails or anything like that. But it's like, it doesn't matter. I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the nudge that I got. And so, and it filled up long before it even,
Mm.
before we even got it, like before registration closed. And I'm like, obviously, this is what we need to be doing. This is what, and so it was just being able to have that nudge of whatever it is that's going on. And like and the women, and we have like women that come faithfully every year, or had women that were coming faithfully every year prior to
Mm-hmm.
the before all the shutdown stuff. And so, and we have, I think we figured out we counted the other day that we only have two recurring people that come annually.
Wow.
And so it's like, and everybody else is either they've come before to one, but like they've not been regular coming, or that this is the very first time that they're coming. So it's like super, super pumping and exciting that we actually get to start this. But it was that middle in the morning nudge. Like, so like I said, it was like probably 5:30 in the morning or something like that, that she's getting an email from me saying like, hey, do you have a
Mm-hmm.
date? And then it turned out to be, because I just looked at weekends, and turned out to
Mm-hmm.
be that it's we're going to be we actually come together on Earth Day. So we're starting this
Oh, I
spring
love
on Earth
that.
Day, and it wasn't like I wasn't looking to see what day of the week or what it was like specifically. I was looking at weekends. Like I wasn't looking at the day, I wasn't paying attention. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I realized that, when I then started paying attention to the day, because I always go in the day before everybody else comes, so like those were the dates that I was focused on. So it was like the 21st to the 25th, because then I stay one extra day afterwards, so that way
Mm.
there I have some grounding time for myself before and after.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so so then when I'm like starting to promote it and putting it out there, and it's like April 22nd, that's Earth Day.
Woo! I
So
love
that's
that.
like, right. So, and again, it was just that nudge of like, this is what I need to be doing. It's right after Easter, and it's my only weekend that I had nothing else going on that was planned. So it was like, no, this is perfect. And so then when I realized it was Earth Day, but again, it came from those nudges, right? So it came from
Mm-hmm.
those dreams and those ideas. And I know it came from dreams, right? So like I know that it came
Mm-hmm.
from my subconscious part of whatever it is that was going on. So
Yes, and it's so exciting how much is available to us that we don't even dream of being a possibility. I think about years ago when I was a young girl, I was always thinking about who am I going to be with for my life partner. I knew I wanted to be married and have a life partner who was amazing.
yep.
and and I had my list of things qualities that I wanted in him, but in high school and in college, I would date people, but it wasn't that soulmate quality that I was looking for. And a couple weeks before I met him, I had a dream, and this is a dream where if anybody was going to look at the events of it, I couldn't put into words how the events of the dream gave me a clue exactly of what was coming, but my soul was sending me this symbol. So in the dream, I'm laying at the bottom of the ocean and I feel the weight of the water on me. And I woke up the next morning and I thought to myself, something good is coming in the next 2 weeks and I am excited and ready. And that dream, it was like, okay, like, and I'm getting chills now. Get your eyes open, get yourself ready. Good things are coming. And then I met him, and yes, he had a lot of the qualities that I wanted, but there's so many things he brought to my life that I didn't expect that I would enjoy. He's a huge baseball fan. I had no idea that I liked baseball because I literally had almost never watched a sport my entire life. Like I always just zoned out. And so me being open to, okay, this person who, if you wrote up our bios on paper and an online dating app, I would have done whatever you do when you reject the person, a swipe left or X out or click up, or I don't even know, because we met before online dating was big. And so it was so interesting to me because on paper we wouldn't have looked like a good match, but the dream let me know something was coming. And when I met him, we clicked in a few ways, and it opened up and had so many other great adventures from that. And similar to you with this retreat, it's when we're willing to let go of control. I love control. I'm really big into it. I don't like to admit it. I've worked with it a lot too, but I also keep on seeing when I let myself be humble and surrender to, maybe I don't have to control everything or know where everything is going. Maybe I can set this intention to be receptive to what my dreams show me and be open to going somewhere and doing something random that I haven't done before, that I don't know how it's going to turn out. Because that's the other thing. Maybe it'll be a lifelong thing, but I feel like I always want to know what to anticipate so that I can be ready for whatever's going to happen next. And I mean, are any of us ever going to be ready we can't anticipate all the things, but keeping myself in this practice of being open, surrendering, okay, let me be in a situation where I don't know what I can anticipate next, and just trusting that good things are going to happen. So many more exciting, pleasurable things are in store for us. And I feel like I've heard other people say this too. And sometimes I think, well, that sounds cheesy. Like, how can things be even better than I've dreamed of them? But if you keep on following the nudges and exploring them, and being open to doing something you haven't done before, you really can have this opening and this exploration of goodness that you had no prior idea was available to you.
Yep. And it really is that, it's really that incredible. Like, it's just, and we can probably talk about this all day, I'm sure. Because
Yes.
I had another client who, because I don't necessarily work with dreams, but like if somebody brings a dream, it's like, okay, well, what does it mean? And
Yes.
same as animals, like, so like an animal's come forward. So like, what does that mean? And so I always ask, so like I always ask them, what does that mean to you? Right.
Yes.
So like, I don't necessarily know what it means to me because it's not mine. It's not my message. So I may not necessarily have that, have an idea specifically about what it is. So what does it mean for you? And so we had a person who, she had this, very vivid, dream of a situation that had happened, and it didn't happen, but like it was in her dream. And there were like this very vivid, violent, situation that happened with a family member who had passed away, and it was somebody that she was still grieving the things that were actually going on, and she was really struggling with what it is what was going on and what was exactly that was happening, and so then we talked a lot about like, hey, well, what does it mean? Like, what do you think that this happened? And so like, take away the actual violent part of it is
Mm-hmm.
take away that part. And like, so what was the scenario? What was going on? They were actually hunting together. And so it wasn't about the violence of what was happening in the dream, because it wasn't about that, but it was her own fear of
Mm-hmm.
what was happening to another family member. And so
Mm-hmm.
so the other family member, she has another family member who is has Alzheimer's. And
Mm-hmm.
so and going through all the different stages, but it was like that fear. So what she was hanging on to was, it was another family member that had passed. And so like that family member was coming and was addressing that fear. Like, what is it that's going on? It was like this family member wasn't going to go around and harm them. It was just that it was like, there's something that you are very fearful of. And it was like, that was that attack on you was to be able to remind you that what you're afraid of is what's going on and what's happening. And so now, whenever she has this family member come present in her dreams, is like she explores, well, what's the message? And there's not been any other violence since then, like in terms of the dream.
Mm-hmm.
So even when she's fearful, but now a lot of the messages come in, and it's like, oh, well, this family member was with this family member, and so like the one who has the Alzheimer's, and so they were visiting, or they that showing that things were happy, or things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's just it's an incredible how our brain works and how it is that it's coming forward. And like I said, so some of the details are not necessarily like, people are like, oh my God, somebody's attacking me, so then that means that I'm going to get attacked. And it's like, no, that's not what that means.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that, so let's pay attention and break down some of the details of what it is that's going on, and that way. And so then it was like, okay, so let's take a look at this, and let's take a look at that. And so I love being
Yes.
able to do that with them, and being able to explore, because again, I'm not going to make an assumption as to what it is that means, because I don't
Right.
know. I wasn't there. It wasn't my
Yes.
message. So I'm not necessarily, but what does it mean to you? Is there a certain color?
Yes.
Is there something
Mm-hmm.
connected? So I love being able to explore that with people as well.
Well, and I love all that you're sharing, because so I have a dream course, and some of what you're sharing is what is taught in the course. So, two really big takeaways from what you said that I have to reinforce so that everyone can connect to. One, that it's personal to you. Dreams are so personal. You and I could both dream of mermaids, and it could mean a totally different thing to you as it does to me. Or we could both dream of, I don't know, the Eiffel Tower falling over. And to you, it means something. And to me, it means something entirely different. And so always we're looking at it through that personal lens, because your mind, your soul, your subconscious is going to send you the dream that you have personal meaning and to explore through it. And it's 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 so personal. I mean, it's like a customized experience of,
Yeah.
hey, I want to wake you up to something. So I'm going to give you a custom experience perfect for you to connect. If that woman would have dreamt of Charlie Chaplin doing something, or, Beyonce, it would have not had the same effect as this departed loved one.
Yeah.
And so and even though, and this is the second thing, even though it came through in a dramatic way of this violent situation, I agree with and love what you said about don't always get hung up about the nitty gritty details. Sometimes our dreams are literal warnings, but oftentimes it's more symbolic. And I like people to, like you did with her, get a little bit more broad perhaps, or take a step back and see, what is this fear trying to show you?
Yeah.
Because the dream broke through to her because it was violent. If it would have been them having tea and laughing, who would have remembered that? That would be like, okay, that was nice, I'm moving on. She wouldn't have brought it up with you. She
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought this is important to look at. And so sometimes these dramatic things that happen, and you wake up and you're sweating, and it's like, oh my gosh, I was being chased by a crazy person, or who knows whatever the scary dramatic thing is. It's a big wake up call, you could say, But
Yeah.
it doesn't always mean I got to change everything in life. I got to move out of my house and end my relationship and change jobs tomorrow. I'm getting
Yeah.
all dramatic, but that's just because your dream is really trying to cut through all of the noise. But it might not mean everything is dramatic. It's just, let's get some attention on this. Let's see what the fear is trying to show you. And if you keep on having very dramatic or fearful dreams, you may be processing a lot. There might be a lot of
Yeah.
fears or unresolved things that need to come up, or new unknown things coming in or happening in your life that maybe you're not ready to think about. Oh, I'm uncomfortable because my company was just bought out by another company and I don't know what's going to happen. So then you start having all these dramatic dreams, or your partner decides to start working out all of the sudden. And it's anytime something changes in your life, things get a little upsetting. And so that can show up in your dreams
Yeah.
because you're unsettled and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, so I love that. So I actually shared in the comments your link for the Dream program. So do you want to tell a little bit more about the program?
Yes. So it's a 4-week class. And depending on when you watch this, it will either be available to go through it live with me, where we'll have weekly meetings, or it will be that you can just access the videos and do it in your own time. But you'll still have the ability to email me to get insight about your dreams. And every week, so we start out just working on, let's remember your dreams. Let's go over some basics about dream analysis. Some of the stuff that we've already shared here of that dreams are so personal to you and you looking at the meaning. Because like you did with that woman, or what I will do if someone comes to me with a dream, I really do I do some questioning. Sometimes I'll have an intuitive hit, but I also need to ask that person questions. Tell me more about what's happening in your life. How do you feel about backpacks? Because maybe you had a backpack that was full of spiders. How do you feel about spiders? Some people are terrified. Some people keep them as pets. It's not for me to judge. It's for me to explore and go back and forth to help that person to come to see new things. I've had dreams that reminded me, oh, I love being on the water and being in a canoe. And in my dream, there was a canoe in a restaurant. Well, maybe you hate canoeing. So,
Yeah.
so again, this recognition that it's so personal. And a lot of us who are sensitive, giving, empathic people, we haven't had a lot of practice being selfish, quote unquote, and really putting ourselves and valuing ourselves first. And dream exploration is one way that you can do that you can practice. I'm going to explore more awareness of myself and how to trust myself more. So the class gets into that. I talk about how to connect with departed loved ones, how to use dreams to manifest, and essentially it's a little bit what we've already been talking about. But dreams can just be an avenue to go deeper into some of these areas of your life and to get new insight. And so the 4 weeks, we go deeper and we support each other, and you get to explore your dreams and start developing your own understanding of, what does it mean when dogs show up in my dreams, or like your client, what does it mean when I always dream about this departed loved one? Because we each have, it's almost our own dream language. And I have worked with a few people. There's one woman I know who I was working with her, and she has a relationship with the ocean and boats and paddling and that type of thing that is very clear to her. And so when that shows up in her dream, she knows then it's an invitation to explore or go deeper in a certain area of her life.
So, and that's really cool. And like I said, I really love how all of that kind of comes together. And so that sounds like an incredible program. to be
Thank
able
you.
to. So I'm going to hope that I'm going to let that one particular person know,
Mm-hmm.
to like make sure that she catches this replay. She does catch the replays typically, but
Oh,
I'll
nice.
make sure that she actually catches this replay, because that may be something that that she wants to explore further, because it
Mm-hmm.
really is that 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 connection. And so one of the things that you were
Yes.
sharing about the program, and I don't remember what it was that you said specifically about what it is that you described, but the one particular thing is that I had a colleague that one of the things that she said is that when she would go to bed, like in terms of manifesting, so when she would actually go to bed, she would actually start a movie in her head.
Oh, I
So
love
she would
that.
actually start, and she said like it was like watching a full movie, because like she would actually start it and say, okay, so this is what I want to dream about. And she would start her dream based on, and then different things would happen when she fell asleep, but she would consciously start off the dream with whatever it was that she wanted to explore and tap into. And I always thought that
Mm-hmm.
was a really that was really cool. And that was like way back when I was doing working in psychotherapy with
Mm-hmm.
different clients. And so that was one of the things, and it was a colleague. And so that was one of the things that she had shared. And I'm like, huh, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's
Yes.
kind of neat. So
That is, and I'll just quickly spin off of that. That's a method I use. I think I learned it from Dr. Joe Dispenza, because as we go to sleep, we move into different brain wave frequencies. Sorry, I haven't reviewed all that terminology
yeah.
recently, but and some of those are more where our subconscious mind operates, and so it's in a way like you're planting the seeds, similar to how we said before. You set the intention. If you're planting the seeds for what you want to manifest and engaging with that as you fall asleep, then your dreams are supporting that. And what I discovered was they can also show you, oh, do you want to manifest more money or more love? Well, here's what's blocking you. And because I was working on my money mindset last year, and so I was working with my dreams to manifest better money mindset. And I started noticing a repeated occurrence in my dreams, and I realized, oh, this is one of my major limiting beliefs that I have about what's going to happen to my personal relationships if I get more money. And that's my block. That's my fear, because it kept on showing up in the dreams in a certain way. And so then I could start working with that more consciously, to because I hadn't realized that was a belief that was blocking me
Mhm.
until it started showing up in my dreams.
Well, and that's really cool. And so Anthony actually said, so
Oh,
hi guys, I find nighttime epiphany moments enlighten me when I'm not looking for any. I carry a great burden yet gift at the same time. I find no one is ready for what I'm ready to show them, but that's okay.
hmm. Well, Anthony, I'm proud of you for seeing your gift and acknowledging it. And maybe no one that you know currently seems ready, but I encourage you, and I feel like we both do. And I hope that you can meet other people who are ready for your great gifts, because they're coming to you, and it sounds like they're strong. So maybe that's something that, who knows, maybe ask your nighttime epiphany, why is no one valuing this or listening? Give me a little bit more feedback here, how I can use these epiphanies with others or communicate them.
I love that. And so he also says, when words unravel at nighttime or during the day, I try to switch off, but can't. My example, my nephew passed away at 1 day old. He helped bring me and my partner together like a cupid. I always believe this,
Aww.
but here's the thing. His name is in the middle of both mine and my partner's. So when
Oh,
you put both of our names
wow.
together, what are the chances that that came to me? It's destined,
Oh,
right? So I
that
love
that
that.
makes my heart so warm. Anthony, thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, that is beautiful. So thank you very much for sharing that. And because it really is, and we get these nudges, and we get these, and I keep saying nudges. So epiphanies is what Anthony calls them, like whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
that you want to call them. One of the things that you described is a tap on the shoulder from spirit, like however
Mm-hmm.
you want to describe them. It's like we get these things, and so so yeah, it's been a while since I've done an hour-long chatting with wisdom. Um, we just kept going and going,
I
and it was amazing.
know. And I
So
know
I
I'm also feeling to myself, I'm like, we don't need to make this 2 hours. But there's a part of me that feels like we could go on and on.
we could. We definitely need to do this again. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so like I said, this is definitely something that we can chat about again. But it has been incredible. So I never go past 2 hours, 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
typically. So between 30 minutes and an hour. So we are definitely on that route. So definitely, if you want to be able to connect with Rachel, the link is in the comments here on Facebook. And so it's really cool that we're able to do this. So Anthony says his name is Dylan. His name was Dylan, and my partner is Lydia. And have a look, nighttime epiphany. So 80 Anthony.
Wow.
So that's beautiful,
Aw.
right?
Wow.
There's Dylan right there in the middle.
Mm,
So that's
that's so
beautiful.
cool.
So, so thank you so much for sharing, Anthony, because I know that is always really helpful when we have people that share. And so, if you're catching the replay or you're catching this on Spotify or any other podcast, then definitely shoot us a message and let us know. We'd love to be able to hear back from you guys. So, anyway, we will chat with all of you guys later, and I will be back on next week and likely go back to the 30 minutes. The next speaker, right? So, so yeah, so this was great, guys. Have a great week, and chat with all you guys later. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.